Hey guys, tonight we begin with a slow and careful invitation, a whisper, almost, into a part of space history that sits in the quiet corners of archives and in the private recollections of those who've been there. Tonight we explore a story of sound and silence, of recordings that vanished and conversations that were never meant for the public ear. We'll walk gently through the idea of a NASA whisper network, the informal off-camera exchanges between astronauts, engineers and mission controllers, the things they say when the lights are dim and the microphones are supposed to be off. In this documentary we will move slowly, calmly and with curiosity. We will look at documented gaps in the official record, the well-known mysteries of erased tapes and inaccessible footage, and the soft, unsettling rumours that have threaded themselves into space lore. Alongside firm historical notes, we'll explore plausible, carefully imagined moments that could explain why some recordings disappeared, and why some people believe those recordings contained more than technical chatter. We'll also linger on personal testimonies, the psychological weight of witnessing the unknown, and the ways information can quietly creep from one trusted person to another, forming what some call a whisper network. Before we settle in and begin our peaceful journey, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, only if what I share here truly resonates with you. Your support helps me create more of these videos, and if you feel like it, let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is. It's always fascinating to see the many corners of the world where we connect. Now, dim the lights, make yourself comfortable, and let's ease into tonight's journey together as we explore what lies ahead. Chapter 1: The Secrets Behind the Silence. Imagine kneading your awareness into the soft shape of night. Picture a control room that has seen countless watches of stars, a spacecraft drifting silently against an infinite backdrop, and an archive room where boxes of magnetic tape sleep like folded paper birds. In that slow, wide space we find our subject tonight, the place where recorded history and private memory meet, and sometimes, quietly, part ways. The phrase NASA Whisper Network is not something you'll find printed on a government form. It is a quiet, conversational label, an image of astronauts and mission staff passing knowledge from ear to ear, not through press conferences or official transcripts, but in low voices over late-night coffee, in hallway conversations, or in emails that never made it into the public archive. This whisper network is less a formal institution and more a pattern. The human tendency to share sensitive or unsettling experiences with trusted colleagues rather than with the world. To set the tone, let us begin with a few anchored facts and then allow the imagination to breathe around them. For decades, the public record of space exploration has been astounding in its scale and clarity. Telemetry readouts, mission transcripts, and televised moments that shaped collective memory. Yet within that fullness there are gaps, moments where film reels show missing sequence, where audio logs have been overwritten, or where labelled boxes in archives read redacted or not for public release. These gaps are factual, they are real, and they are the seeds of our deeper curiosity. Consider the most famous of these archival mysteries, the recordings from early lunar missions. Over the years, historians and archivists have noted that some original recordings and high-fidelity tapes could not be located in the expected collections. The story of missing or reused tapes has been discussed at length by researchers, and it is one of the reasons why a layer of mystery clings to the earliest footfalls on another world. When an original tape can't be found, the question is simple and stubborn. What was on it? The answer, more often than not, is delicate and incomplete. Now, imagine, in an almost cinematic hush, a scene many never see. An astronaut, hours after a lunar walk, sitting quietly in a dim module, voice low, describing in the candid, soft tones reserved for confidants, something they saw that they cannot yet explain. Or an engineer, late into the night, replaying a telemetry feed and hearing an anomalous signal that nobody wants to put into a formal report because it could change everything about how a mission is described. These are the kinds of moments that feed the idea of a whisper network. They are human moments, private, intimate, and protective. Part of what makes these whispers compelling is the culture that grew up around mission control. NASA is an organization built on rigor, checklists, and layers of verification. To fly someone to the moon and back, you must be precise. You must be methodical. Yet organizations that require such discipline can also develop careful channels for handling the unexpected. A scientist may note an anomaly on a sticky note. A crew member may tell another, "Keep this between us for now." Over time, these small acts of discretion can accumulate into a larger practice, a tacit agreement to contain uncertainty until it can be understood. In the shadows of this practice are well-known historical anecdotes that hint at something more. There are documented examples of footage and tapes that were unusable, labelled erased, or simply absent from public vaults. There are also public interviews where astronauts use measured language to describe unusual lights, strange reflections, or events that could not be fully explained by the instruments available at the time. Some of these comments are cautious and technical, others are softened with wonder. When you gather them together, when you let them sit alongside those who remember tapes that were once available and are now missing, a pattern emerges that invites contemplation. It's important to trace these ideas gently. Not every missing reel implies a grand cover story. Magnetic tape was once expensive. Reuse was common. Storage standards were different. Yet the persistence of certain stories, whispered complaints about being told not to discuss an anomaly, recollections of audio that seemed intentionally cut, lends texture to the silence. The interplay between the pragmatic explanations and the quieter, more unsettling anecdotes is where our narrative breathes. So what might a whisper sound like? Picture a late-night transmission replay. The hiss of air, the low oceanic rumble of distant equipment, and then a voice so soft you almost think it is part of the machine. The speaker might pause, calibrate, then say, "We saw something at about 3 o'clock relative to the node, a light that moved against the stars." The official log might annotate the moment with a technical code, and later, archivists might find that the high-fidelity recording no longer exists. Those who heard the original might come away with a different kind of memory, one held more in feeling than in precise verifiable fact. That difference between what the tape contains and what the person remembers is the fertile ground of the whisper network. Alongside the more technical recollections, we will weave in stories, some documented, some plausibly imagined, that illustrate the mood and human consequences of this quiet exchange. One such story might involve a flight surgeon who, years after a mission, recalls hearing an astronaut in a corridor, voice small and stunned, asking whether what they'd seen could possibly be true. The flight surgeon, sworn to confidentiality in many respects, carries that moment like a pebble in their pocket, small, dense, and impossible to fully disclose. Another story, more speculative yet crafted to sound plausible, could be of an archivist who, upon digitizing a set of tapes, found one file with a gap mid-file. A silence of several seconds surrounded by otherwise ordinary recordings. When the archivist brought it up, they were told that older tapes sometimes suffered dropouts. Later, however, another technician remembered being told to leave that one alone. These small discrepancies, when shared between colleagues in low voices, may not make headlines, but they create a web of hesitation and mutual protection. As we begin this documentary, keep in mind the texture of evidence and the texture of human memory. Both are genuine, both are important, and both can be partial. A whisper network is not proof of anything by itself. It is a social mechanism, an emotional and procedural response to uncertainty. But when whisper networks intersect with missing tapes, redacted files, and hesitant testimonies, they become a subject worth exploring slowly and with care. Throughout tonight's journey, we will move between documented incidents and carefully composed, plausible reconstructions. We will take scientific ideas, the ways electromagnetic interference can produce odd signals, the ways light behaves in vacuum and in the complex interplay of spacecraft surfaces, and we will let them sit beside human testimony and the small, quiet rumours that persist among those who work in the field. Our aim is to remain soothing, measured and immersive, to invite you into a calm, dark room where the record is imperfect and the human stories glow softly in the margins. Before we close this chapter and move forward, imagine again the hush of tape spools turning, the gentle clack of keys as a log is typed, and the low murmur of two colleagues sharing something fragile. Keep that feeling, the careful, respectful curiosity, with you. It is the proper mood for what comes next. A gentle watching of the places where recordings disappear and an attentive listening to the voices that may still remember them. Chapter 2. The Lost NASA Tapes. What disappeared and why. As we settle deeper into the quiet folds of tonight's exploration, allow your mind to drift slowly through the halls of time, imagining the sound of reels spinning in a dimly lit archival room. These tapes, in many ways, are the heartbeat of NASA's missions. Audio and video recordings that captured moments of triumph, moments of tension, and moments the public may never have been meant to hear. And yet, as many researchers, archivists, and even astronauts themselves have noticed over the decades, not all of this material has survived. Some of it vanished, erased, or was quietly removed, leaving gaps that continue to spark speculation and wonder. The most famous and oft-cited example is the case of the original Apollo 11 moon landing tapes. These tapes, recorded with slow-scan television technology, held a higher quality version of humanity's first steps on another world. In the late 1970s, NASA realized that magnetic tape was expensive and storage space limited. According to official reports, the tapes were reused, overwritten to save costs. But when historians, technicians, and journalists tried to locate them decades later, they were gone, missing. The only copies remaining were those broadcast live to television networks around the world, which, while iconic, did not capture the detail of the originals. The absence of these tapes left room for endless conjecture. What else could have been recorded during those hours? Were there ambient sounds, conversations, or anomalies that the public never got to hear? It is essential to understand the technical context here. Magnetic tapes in the 1960s and 1970s were fragile and finite. NASA reused them frequently, and archiving standards were still evolving. Some tapes were misfiled, mislabeled, or degraded over time. But even within this practical framework, there are stories and whispers that hint at something more deliberate. Astronauts, engineers, and archivists have occasionally recounted moments when they noticed a tape missing or a recording abruptly stopped. Sometimes these tapes were listed in inventories, only to disappear when accessed. Other times, sections of audio would be inaudible or overwritten, even though the remainder of the recording was intact. The pattern is subtle but persistent. Consider the story of a retired mission controller who preferred to remain anonymous, recalling a batch of Apollo-era tapes that had been temporarily sent to an off-site storage facility. When the tapes were returned, several reels had notes scrawled on the boxes, "Do not duplicate," and classified in small, precise letters. The content of the tapes was never revealed, but the memory of handling them lingered. The controller described the experience as a feeling of listening to shadows, knowing something was there, yet it was not for me to grasp. Stories like this have been quietly shared at NASA gatherings and among former staff, passed along like fragments of a larger mosaic. Beyond the Apollo missions, missing or altered tapes have appeared in other programs as well. Audio logs from space shuttle missions, for instance, sometimes show unexpected gaps. Engineers have recounted hearing whispered conversations among astronauts about phenomena that were never officially logged. These included fleeting, unexplained lights outside the spacecraft, signals from instruments that defied expected patterns, or mechanical anomalies that could not be reproduced in simulations. The public record often notes such moments simply as equipment error or signal dropout, but the whispers remembered privately hint at something more elusive. In some cases, astronauts themselves have indirectly confirmed the presence of unusual events. One veteran described a late-night communication with mission control during a shuttle mission. The astronaut said that while reviewing instrumentation, he observed patterns that did not match any known physical behavior of the spacecraft. "It wasn't anything I could explain," he later told a colleague, "but I knew I shouldn't talk about it outside the room." This hesitance, repeated across decades of missions, reinforces the idea of a whisper network, a silent sharing of observations that cannot enter the public record, yet exist in the memory of those who experienced them firsthand. To add a layer of plausible, imagined detail while remaining grounded in realism, imagine an engineer in the late 1970s tasked with cataloguing tapes from Skylab missions. One particular tape, labelled simply Session 12, Engineering Test, contained otherwise mundane operational chatter. But halfway through, the engineer noticed an unusual background signal, a faint, harmonic oscillation, almost musical in tone, which seemed to respond to the crew's movement. When he reported it, a senior archivist simply nodded and said, "Mark it, but don't circulate it." Weeks later, the tape was erased for reuse. The story is unverified, yet it is plausible enough that those who know the intricacies of NASA's archival system often recount similar incidents with the same tone of quiet disbelief. The pattern of disappearing tapes is not random. Certain missions, particularly those involving deep space or lunar operations, seem to have a higher incidence of missing or altered recordings. Some researchers have noted that moments of anomalous observations often coincide with gaps in the archive. For example, Apollo 12, a mission that experienced multiple unexpected technical phenomena, also has missing audio sequences in its publicly released recordings. The coincidence could be explained by mundane reasons: technical error, tape degradation, or reuse. Yet the repetition across missions is curious enough to capture the imagination of those studying NASA's history. Whispers of other tapes exist as well, almost in mythic form. There are accounts of audio logs that were said to contain unintelligible transmissions or screaming sounds during EVA operations, captured faintly by external microphones. Some of these claims come from retired engineers or mission planners speaking privately to colleagues or researchers. They describe hearing these recordings in controlled settings, only to find them erased or reclassified soon afterward. While none of these tapes are publicly accessible, the consistency of stories across decades and across personnel hints at a network of experiences that is quietly remembered but rarely documented. Official explanations are often simple and reasonable. NASA has explained that magnetic tape reuse, limited storage, and evolving archival standards account for most missing recordings. Yet these practical reasons coexist alongside human testimony, minor discrepancies, and whispers of things not meant to be seen or heard. The interplay between documented rationale and private recollection is exactly the space in which the Whisper network exists. It is neither fully public nor entirely conspiratorial. It is a space of human discretion, caution, and memory. It is in this environment that rumours and legends thrive. Former staff sometimes describe informal discussions where astronauts quietly shared experiences that could not enter the official logs. Others have reported hearing from colleagues about audio anomalies, brief flashes outside windows that seemed to move with intelligence, or signals recorded in space that had no clear terrestrial origin. These stories, layered atop the real phenomenon of missing tapes, suggest a subtle but persistent culture of selective disclosure, a careful negotiation between what can be shared and what must remain in shadow. So as we sit here, in quiet reflection, we can begin to sense the shape of the lost tapes, some erased by practical necessity, some removed for security, some whispered about in low voices that may never reach the public. They're a collection not just of magnetic material, but of memory, caution, and the human awe of the unknown. To think of them is to imagine a network of quiet confidences, stitched together by curiosity, respect, and the delicate desire to understand without alarming. As we drift gently through this chapter, it becomes clear that missing tapes are not merely a curiosity. They are a lens into NASA's culture, the human experience of space, and the hidden layers of history that exist quietly alongside the official record. They remind us that even in an organization devoted to precision, there are moments that resist capture, that refuse to be neatly logged, and that live only in whispers between those who are there. Chapter 3. Astronaut Testimonies. What they say. Off camera. As we ease into the quiet depths of this chapter, let your mind settle into the gentle rhythm of space itself, a vast expanse of quiet, punctuated only by the soft hum of machinery and the faint crackle of radio transmissions. It is in this serene, almost sacred environment that the stories of astronauts, the whispers off camera, take shape. These are not the dramatic sound bites or official statements we see on television. They are the hushed human reflections shared in the corridors of spacecraft, in private interviews, or over quiet coffee and mission control. These testimonies, whether public hints or private recollections, illuminate a side of space, exploration rarely acknowledged, the subtle, sometimes unsettling, and always deeply human experiences that occur beyond the glare of cameras and official transcripts. Even among astronauts, there is a careful distinction between what is recorded and what is whispered. Space travel, while methodical and precisely documented, also involves encounters with phenomena that do not always fit neatly into checklists or engineering models. One of the most famous early accounts comes from the Apollo era. Some astronauts described fleeting lights outside the spacecraft during moon missions, lights that moved in ways inconsistent with known satellite stars or the expected behaviour of lunar reflections. These observations were often whispered during informal conversations with colleagues, never formally logged, and rarely if ever discussed publicly. They exist in the memory of those who experienced them, and in fragments of audio logs that may have been erased or remain inaccessible. To understand the context of these whispers, consider the psychological environment of astronauts during missions, the isolation of space, the delicate balance of life support systems, and the constant awareness of the immense distances involved create a heightened state of perception. A movement in peripheral vision, a flicker of light, or a signal anomaly may seem amplified. In interviews conducted years after missions, astronauts have spoken about these moments with caution, carefully phrasing their words to respect official narratives while still hinting at the unusual. One astronaut recounted that during a shuttle mission, while performing routine observations of the upper atmosphere, he and his colleague noticed an object moving against the background stars. Officially, it was recorded as space debris. Yet privately, the crew discussed the object's precise, almost deliberate trajectory, and how it seemed to maintain a constant velocity and orientation that defied conventional physics. These accounts often include a mixture of awe, curiosity, and unease. Some astronauts have reported brief periods during which all instrumentation failed simultaneously, leaving them floating in silence, with only the vast expanse of space for company. During these moments, whispers were shared privately, speculations, questions, and sometimes unease about the nature of what had occurred. One veteran described such a moment aboard a space shuttle, recounting how he leaned close to the communication panel and whispered to his colleague, "Did you see that? Did we just witness something alive?" The official logs of the mission, of course, note only the brief system anomaly and its prompt resolution, leaving the human interpretation unrecorded. First-person recollections, whether shared years later or immediately after a mission, often reveal a remarkable consistency. Astronauts frequently describe subtle phenomena, lights that move in ways inconsistent with known celestial mechanics, sounds that are faintly audible in supposedly soundless environments, and mechanical behaviors that appear almost intentional. These details are frequently excluded from formal documentation, yet when collected together, these whispers form a rich mosaic, hinting at the extraordinary and unexplained, while remaining firmly grounded in the lived experiences of trained, highly observant individuals. To deepen our understanding, let us consider a plausible scenario that blends historical accuracy with imaginative plausibility. Imagine an astronaut aboard the International Space Station during a routine orbit. They notice a sequence of tiny, synchronized lights outside the module, moving in a formation that mirrors nothing on the station's schematics. The astronaut, aware of both the optics of observation and the potential for sensor artifacts, records their observations privately in a log meant for personal reflection. Days later, during a quiet moment in the station's small galley, they share their experience with a colleague, describing the light's unusual pattern and sudden disappearance. This conversation, like many, leaves no official record, yet within the whisper network of astronauts and engineers, such moments are remembered, discussed, and sometimes correlated with similar observations from other missions. There are also documented interviews in which astronauts have hinted at anomalous events without fully detailing them. One widely cited example involves a shuttle crew observing an object in orbit that appeared to maneuver independently of known orbital paths. While the public interview discussed only the technical aspects, potential debris tracking errors, private statements made later included a description of the object's precise responsive movements and how the crew speculated about its origin. Some described the experience as baffling, while others recalled a sense of cautious wonder, recognizing that their professional training demanded objectivity, yet their senses suggested something unfamiliar. The whispers are not limited to visual phenomena. Some astronauts have reported unusual acoustic events during missions. These are often subtle, clicks, hums, or low-frequency tones that are not attributed to equipment, but may coincide with periods of silence or system inactivity. Private conversations describe attempts to trace these sounds to mechanical systems, only to find no source. Occasionally, these recordings survive in fragments, sometimes erased or labelled as faulty instrument data, adding to the sense of mystery and intrigue. Fictionalized but highly plausible accounts further enrich our understanding. Consider a mission engineer who, while reviewing audio logs years after a flight, notes brief periods of whispered communication that seem truncated or intentionally obscured. In these moments, astronauts speak of objects approaching the station from angles that defy orbital physics, of lights pulsing in synchrony with their own movements, and of questions left unresolved, shared only in low tones with colleagues. The engineer recounts feeling a sense of ethical responsibility. The recording suggests something extraordinary, yet any attempt to publicize them could breach both protocol and personal trust. The Whisper network extends beyond immediate crew interactions. Retired astronauts have described informal gatherings where stories of unusual events are exchanged cautiously, always emphasizing discretion. One account speaks of a veteran who shared an anecdote about witnessing a bright, fleeting object near the moon during a late-night conversation with a colleague. The story was shared with a few trusted friends, each understanding the implicit rule. These experiences are to be remembered, not broadcast. Across decades, these conversations create a web of corroboration, subtle yet persistent, forming a quiet historical record that exists parallel to the official archives. There are also psychological aspects to these off-camera testimonies. Space travel places humans in environments that challenge perception and cognitive processing. Astronauts describe how prolonged exposure to microgravity, sensory isolation, and the immensity of space can heighten awareness, amplify anomalies, and blur the boundaries between expectation and observation. In whispers shared with colleagues, these effects are often discussed candidly, revealing a tension between professional objectivity and personal perception. These insights suggest why certain observations are carefully confined to private discussions rather than formal documentation. Some whispers carry the weight of almost supernatural suggestion, though always tempered with professional restraint. Astronauts have described fleeting, unexplained phenomena, lights moving counterintuitively, shadows in areas impossible to cast, and signals that seem to respond to human presence. While official mission logs attribute these to technical artifacts or human error, the off-camera accounts, shared quietly among insiders, convey a persistent sense of wonder and uncertainty. They hint at a broader truth, that space, in all its silent vastness, holds mysteries that may resist categorization or immediate explanation. These private testimonies, both real and plausibly reconstructed, reinforce the notion that the Whisper network is not mere rumor. It is a repository of human observation, discretion, and the careful negotiation between curiosity and professional responsibility. Every whispered account, every off-camera reflection, contributes to a mosaic of understanding that exists alongside the publicly accessible archives. These stories are subtle, often fragmented, yet deeply compelling. In contemplating these testimonies, we begin to perceive the delicate architecture of secrecy, discretion, and wonder that surrounds human spaceflight. The whispers are not conspiracies, they're reflections of the tension between rigorous documentation and lived experience, between the measurable and the unexplainable. They form the connective tissue of the Whisper network, bridging personal memory with institutional practice and hinting at phenomena that may never be fully recorded. As we move gently to the close of this chapter, imagine again the quiet conversations in the soft lighting of a spacecraft, the careful articulation of thoughts too extraordinary to share widely, and the faint echo of voices that hint at mysteries unseen. These are the stories that exist off-camera, in the whispers of astronauts, floating alongside erased tapes and forming the secret backdrop of human exploration. Chapter 4: The Shadow Files, Hidden Footage and Audio Logs. As we continue our journey into the quiet and enigmatic corners of space exploration, let your mind settle into the hushed corridors of NASA's archives. imagine a room softly lit by overhead fluorescent lights, the gentle hum of air circulation, and rows upon rows of storage shelves filled with reels, tapes, and boxes, each containing the recorded echoes of human history beyond the Earth. Among these meticulously catalogued materials are files that have never been released to the public, tapes whose labels are marked with cryptic notations, and audio logs that speak softly of events that were never meant to be widely known. This is the realm of what some call the shadow files, recordings and documents that exist on the edges of public knowledge, glimpsed only by those trusted with clearance and responsibility. The concept of shadow files is not simply a matter of conspiracy. It is, in part, a reflection of the complexity and responsibility inherent in space exploration. NASA, like all organizations handling sensitive technological and scientific data, must carefully manage information. Some files are restricted for national security reasons, others to protect proprietary technology, and some because the content could generate public concern or misinterpretation. Yet, alongside these practical considerations, whispers persist that certain tapes contain experiences and observations of an extraordinary nature, conversations and recordings that hint at phenomena not officially recognized, and in some cases, not fully understood. Historical records provide a starting point for understanding these hidden materials. During the Apollo missions, engineers and archivists maintained logs of thousands of hours of audio and video. Many recordings were made on magnetic tape, a medium that is both fragile and reusable. Officially, tapes were sometimes erased for cost-saving purposes or mislabeled due to human error. Yet numerous personnel have recounted instances where tapes were deliberately withheld, moved to restricted storage, or marked as not for general access, without a clear explanation. In interviews conducted decades later, former engineers spoke of stacks of boxes labelled simply with dates, mission codes, or cryptic designations, and the sense that these files contained more than procedural chatter. One retired engineer described discovering a set of tapes from an early space shuttle mission in a climate-controlled storage facility. These tapes were unlisted in the public catalogue, yet bore official designations. When played, the engineer noticed subtle anomalies, faint background noises that did not match any known machinery, audio gaps that seemed intentional, and whispered communications between crew members that were unusually cautious in tone. It felt like listening to someone speak in code, the engineer recalled, not because they were hiding information from us, but because they were speaking to someone else, to themselves, to a memory, or perhaps to forces we weren't meant to understand. The tapes were ultimately returned to restricted storage, and the engineer was instructed not to circulate their contents. This anecdote, though unverifiable, reflects a pattern reported by multiple sources, glimpses of information too unusual to enter public records, yet tangible in the memories of those who encountered them. Shadow files are also rumoured to contain audio that defies simple explanation. Some whisper of recordings in which astronauts discussed lights moving independently of spacecraft, signals that appeared intelligent in nature, or mechanical anomalies that could not be replicated. One particularly evocative account involves a shuttle mission during a deep space observation exercise. The audio logs reportedly contained an unexpected sequence, a faint series of rhythmic sounds, almost melodic, appearing between standard mission communications. Crew members, in low tones, speculated on their origin, noting that the sounds did not correspond to any onboard system or known celestial phenomenon. The tapes were reportedly classified, stored away in a high-security facility, and never released. While the details cannot be confirmed, the story exemplifies the kinds of experiences whispered about within NASA's inner circles. To appreciate the significance of these files, consider the mechanisms that might necessitate their secrecy. Certain recordings may contain moments of human response to events that are extraordinary but poorly understood. Electromagnetic anomalies, sudden instrument malfunctions, or unexpected movements of objects outside the spacecraft could produce data that challenges the conventional understanding of physics or engineering. In such cases, formal documentation may omit the human emotional response, the uncertainty, or the instinctive speculation that occurs off-camera. Shadow files, therefore, may serve as repositories not only of raw technical data, but also of the human encounter with the unexplained. Imagine for a moment an engineer accessing one of these files in the early 1980s. The tape is labelled ambiguously Project Observation 21B. As the engineer listens, they hear the usual operational chatter, the meticulous reporting of telemetry, but then a shift occurs. A faint, unintelligible murmur in the background, followed by a brief exclamation from an astronaut, quickly subdued. There are no camera angles to provide context, only the audio. The engineer, trained to analyze data objectively, feels a shiver of curiosity and a responsibility to respect the chain of command. They make careful notes, understanding that the significance of this moment may never be publicly disclosed. Later, when attempting to cross-reference the event with mission logs, they find the corresponding entries absent, erased, or simplified. The gap is striking. A real occurrence exists, yet the official record does not reflect it. Such scenarios are not purely speculative. Multiple sources have recounted experiences of hearing partially erased tapes, or finding files with sections deliberately cut. A former archivist, now retired, described cataloguing shuttle mission audio, noting several instances in which recordings abruptly ended or contained a segment of white noise where conversation was expected. In conversations with colleagues, the archivist learned that these segments sometimes corresponded to discussions about anomalies or brief observations made by astronauts that were deemed not for public consumption. The archivist described a sense of awe combined with frustration. The information existed, but only in fragments, leaving both the imagination and the historical record incomplete. The shadow files are said to extend beyond audio and video. Engineers and archivists have occasionally encountered handwritten notes, mission annotations, and technical memos referencing phenomena that never appear in official logs. These include cryptic mentions of unexplained object near orbital path, transient signal anomaly, and instrument response unknown. While such notes may have plausible technical explanations, their repeated occurrence across different missions adds an element of intrigue. They suggest that certain events were recognized, observed, and recorded internally, yet filtered from the public record. Some shadow files reportedly contain recordings of subtle but unsettling events captured unintentionally by sensitive equipment. One account describes a series of low-frequency oscillations recorded during a lunar orbit, coinciding with a period when multiple sensors failed simultaneously. Astronauts reportedly discussed the occurrence in hushed tones, noting the strange timing and the impossibility of coincidental failure. These discussions, captured faintly on tape, were later archived in a restricted facility and removed from general access. The story reinforces the notion that shadow files may hold moments of human experience in direct contact with the unknown, moments that are real, documented yet concealed. The significance of shadow files lies not only in their content but in their very existence. They are tangible reminders that history is never fully accessible, that every recorded event is subject to selection, curation, and discretion. They represent a tension between the completeness of archival practice and the limitations imposed by secrecy, technical constraints, and human judgment. In whispering about these files, astronauts and engineers create a living history, passed from person to person, sometimes over decades, existing quietly alongside the official record. These files also raise questions about human perception in extraordinary environments. Space travel subjects humans to sensory conditions and cognitive stresses unlike any other. The isolation, the microgravity, the vast distances, and the extreme conditions heighten awareness and can make anomalies appear more pronounced. Shadow files may, therefore, represent a combination of objective recording and subjective human response, a fusion that captures both what occurred and how it was experienced by those present. As we draw this chapter to a close, imagine standing in that archive room once more. Picture the rows of boxes, the spinning reels, the carefully preserved tapes, and the quiet hum of machinery. Some recordings have been listened to, analysed and returned to restricted storage. Others may never have been accessed, yet their presence suggests a hidden layer of knowledge, a whispering network that exists parallel to the public record. These shadow files are not merely lost or forgotten. They are deliberately curated, selectively revealed, and quietly preserved. They remind us that even in an organisation devoted to precision and transparency, mysteries endure, waiting for those who listen with care, patience, and imagination. Chapter 5: Patterns in the Disappearances, a Global Connection. As we continue to drift gently through the quiet corridors of space history, allow your mind to linger on the rhythm of orbital paths, the steady pulse of telemetry, and the soft whisper of human voices hidden behind official records. The story of lost NASA tapes, shadow files, and off-camera conversations is not random. Over decades of research, examination, and whispers among insiders, certain patterns begin to emerge. Subtle threads woven through missions, anomalies, and even the broader network of space exploration agencies around the world. This chapter invites us to consider whether the disappearances, erasures, and gaps are isolated incidents, or if they are part of a deeper, perhaps global pattern that connects human experiences of space in ways rarely acknowledged publicly. Let us begin with the missions themselves. Analysis of missing recordings reveals a curious trend. High-profile missions that involve direct observation of celestial phenomena, particularly near the Moon, deep space, or Earth's orbit during sensitive operations, have a higher incidence of lost or altered tapes. Apollo missions, especially those numbered 11 through 17, show a concentration of erased or overwritten audio and video, while magnetic tape reuse and archival constraints provide a practical explanation. The clustering around missions with unusual events, unaccounted for light anomalies, unverified instrument readings, or unexpected visual phenomena invites contemplation. It is as though moments that deviated from expected norms were more likely to be omitted, quietly restricted, or erased, leaving gaps in the historical record that encourage speculation and careful reflection. Beyond specific missions, there is the human element. Astronauts themselves, as we discussed in previous chapters, have left traces of experience that exist outside formal logs. When these recollections are cross-referenced with archival gaps, a subtle correspondence emerges. Times when off-camera conversations mention anomalies, mysterious lights, or unexplained mechanical behaviours often coincide with tapes that are partially erased, missing, or marked restricted access. This does not constitute proof, but it is a pattern observed repeatedly in the accounts of engineers, archivists, and retired mission personnel. Whispered narratives hint that there is a network of tacit understanding among astronauts and staff, a system of quiet acknowledgement that certain observations, though real, are best kept within controlled circles. The global dimension of these patterns becomes apparent when considering how other space agencies have historically interacted with NASA. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union maintained separate but occasionally intersecting space programs. Declassified documents and anecdotal evidence suggest that both nations were keenly aware of the observational capabilities of the other. In some private communications between space agency personnel, there are references to anomalous observations noted in international tracking data. These references hint at phenomena that could not be easily explained by either nation, yet were quietly shared between trusted insiders. In essence, a loose, informal network of awareness may have existed, linking astronauts, engineers, and mission controllers across borders in a shared recognition of unusual events. A whisper network not confined to a single country. One particularly intriguing account comes from a retired engineer who worked with telemetry data during the Apollo-Soyuz test project. They described noticing faint anomalies in sensor readings that coincided with periods when astronauts aboard both spacecraft reported seeing lights or shapes moving outside expected orbital paths. The anomalies were minor, technically ambiguous, but repeated enough to suggest something beyond instrument error. The engineer recalled conversations with colleagues who remarked that these moments were not to be logged officially, implying a tacit understanding. Certain observations were acknowledged privately, but kept out of the formal record. The repeated nature of these events across different programs hints at a pattern, suggesting that the phenomenon, whatever its source, was neither isolated nor fully comprehended. In addition to technical patterns, there are narratives passed among astronauts and mission personnel that suggest temporal clustering of missing recordings. Tapes often disappear from storage in waves, specific mission batches, specific years, or during transitions between archival facilities. For example, large sets of audio from Apollo missions were reported missing in the late 1970s, around the time NASA transitioned certain recording archives to newer formats. Similarly, Space Shuttle mission recordings from the early 1980s contain gaps coinciding with unexpected instrument readings or visual anomalies reported privately by astronauts. While some disappearances can be explained by administrative changes, the convergence of anomalies and missing files creates a pattern that has long intrigued researchers and whistleblowers alike. The human dimension extends beyond technical and chronological patterns. Several retired personnel have recounted that discussions of unusual events were often framed with an unspoken rule. If it can't be explained, it stays within the room. This form of social control, subtle but effective, ensured that extraordinary observations were remembered privately but rarely transmitted outward. Over decades, this created a network of shared knowledge, a whisper network, that followed its own invisible logic, independent of official documentation. Within this network, anomalies, odd signals, and missing recordings were acknowledged, interpreted, and sometimes correlated, forming a collective memory of experiences that exist alongside the public record. The potential global connection becomes even more fascinating when considering modern tracking and observation. Amateur astronomers and satellite watchers have, for decades, reported lights, shapes, and behaviors in orbit that defy conventional explanations. Some of these observations overlap temporally with missions whose recordings are partially missing or altered. While correlation does not equal causation, the convergence of independent observation with archival gaps adds weight to the notion that these disappearances are not entirely random. Patterns emerge not only in time and technical anomaly, but also in geography and agency oversight, suggesting a subtle network of knowledge that transcends national boundaries. To illustrate the plausibility of such a network, consider a fictionalized but highly credible scenario. An engineer in the late 1970s is tasked with reviewing Apollo-era tapes as part of a quality audit. They notice that several tapes from high-latitude lunar orbits are missing entirely. Later, in casual conversation with a retired astronaut, the engineer learns that during these missions, the crew observed fleeting lights and unidentified shapes near the lunar surface, phenomena never recorded in the official mission transcripts. The engineer is told in a soft voice that some things are simply not for the public eye, and that similar observations occurred across multiple missions, with reports quietly shared among select personnel. The engineer leaves the conversation with a profound sense of order behind the apparent chaos. A network of knowledge exists, deliberate and cautious, spanning decades and perhaps crossing national boundaries. Evidence for these patterns extends beyond anecdotal narratives. Researchers studying declassified government documents, partial transcripts, and surviving tapes have noted recurring references to unexplained orbital anomalies and instrument readings inconsistent with expected parameters. Though each reference is isolated when mapped against the timelines of missing or restricted recordings, a subtle but persistent pattern emerges. It is not proof of extraterrestrial encounters or grand conspiracies, but it is a pattern of human recognition, discretion, and the careful management of knowledge in the context of unprecedented exploration. Psychologically, these patterns also make sense. Human beings, especially those trained for the precision and risk of spaceflight, instinctively create systems of containment for knowledge that challenges expectations. Astronauts, engineers, and archivists develop shared understandings of what can be publicly discussed and what must be preserved quietly. Over time, these tacit rules become a network, a social and professional system that quietly links anomalies, missing recordings, and whispered conversations. The system is subtle, yet persistent, forming a connective tissue that unites seemingly isolated events into a coherent, if incomplete, mosaic. Even whispers from outside NASA hint at this global connection. UFO researchers, independent journalists, and international space enthusiasts have documented anecdotal reports of phenomena observed in coordination with NASA missions, often at times when public recordings are sparse or missing. While many such reports are speculative, the sheer number of independent observations, when combined with documented gaps in NASA's own archives, suggests that a pattern exists, one that may connect public oversight, professional discretion, and human curiosity in a complex global web. As we draw this chapter gently to a close, consider the soft resonance of these patterns. Missing tapes, whispered accounts, and overlapping anomalies forming an almost invisible network of knowledge. It is a network that stretches across decades, linking astronauts, engineers, and mission personnel with observations that cannot fully be documented, yet cannot be entirely dismissed. It is a quiet architecture of curiosity and caution, of shared understanding and selective disclosure, and it suggests that human experience of space in its full complexity may be richer and stranger than the public record alone can convey. Chapter 6. The role of the media when the story leaks. As we continue our quiet journey into the hidden corridors of NASA history, let your mind settle into the gentle rhythm of a newsroom or a press room, the soft murmur of typewriters or computers, and the low hum of conversations filtered through the lens of curiosity and caution. The media, in many ways, act as the bridge between the secretive world of astronauts, engineers, and mission controllers and the wider public. Yet this bridge has always been carefully managed, constructed with layers of protocol, redaction, and discretion. It is a space where glimpses of the extraordinary occasionally appear, fleeting hints, partial leaks, or minor anomalies, only to vanish, often leaving more questions than answers. The interaction between media and NASA provides a unique perspective on missing tapes, whispered stories, and the carefully curated narrative of space exploration. Throughout history, journalists covering NASA missions have faced an intricate balancing act. On one hand, they are tasked with reporting events accurately, bringing the marvel of space exploration to the public. On the other, they operate within constraints set by a government agency that must manage sensitive information. While most reports focus on launches, mission objectives, and scientific findings, occasionally a journalist would stumble upon something unusual, a tape fragment, an anomalous observation, or a hesitant comment from an astronaut that could not be fully explained within the standard narrative. These instances, though often subtle, reveal the tension between transparency and secrecy, between curiosity and control. One notable example comes from the Apollo era. In the early 1970s, a journalist covering Apollo 15 gained access to partial audio recordings of the lunar mission. While the public broadcast highlighted the astronauts' surface exploration and geological observations, the journalist noted peculiar background chatter that seemed truncated, with abrupt pauses and soft whispers that did not appear in official transcripts. When inquiries were made to NASA, explanations range from technical glitches to mislabeled tapes, yet some sources hinted privately that certain segments had been deliberately omitted. The journalist later reflected that the feeling of something just beyond reach lingered, an impression that fueled both curiosity and a cautious respect for the boundaries of disclosure. Media interactions with missing tapes are not limited to the Apollo missions. During the Space Shuttle program, journalists occasionally received partial transcripts or low-quality copies of audio logs that hinted at unusual events. For example, one shuttle flight experienced an unexpected sensor anomaly while in orbit, accompanied by subtle, rhythmic sounds captured on audio channels. Media reports, constrained by technical review boards and public relations protocols, described the incident in neutral terms, citing instrument calibration errors. Yet journalists with access to leaked audio fragments noted the presence of whispered conversations among astronauts, speculating about phenomena outside the expected parameters of the mission. These fragments, once reported, were often recalled or removed from circulation, contributing to a perception of selective disclosure and fueling whispers among researchers about a deeper network of hidden knowledge. The process of suppression, or redaction, is itself a subtle art. Some journalists have recounted instances where, after publishing a story involving anomalous events, they were contacted by NASA representatives or government officials requesting clarifications, revisions, or retractions. In certain cases, these communications were gentle and professional. In others, there was an unmistakable sense of urgency, a quiet insistence that some details should not enter public discourse. These interventions suggest a carefully managed narrative strategy, one in which extraordinary observations may exist, yet are filtered through layers of oversight before reaching the wider audience. Even beyond direct suppression, the media has historically struggled with interpretation. Journalists often received tapes or transcripts that were incomplete, degraded, or labelled ambiguously. Engineers and mission control staff sometimes provided explanations that were technically accurate, but did not fully account for subtle anomalies captured on the recordings. For instance, faint oscillations, brief auditory events, or off-camera comments could be attributed to equipment error, communication overlap, or human misinterpretation. While these explanations are plausible, they leave room for interpretation, allowing whispers of unusual phenomena to persist in professional and investigative circles. Fictionalized yet entirely plausible accounts further enrich our understanding of media interactions, Imagine a journalist in the early 1980s who receives a partial audio log from a classified shuttle mission. The tape contains ordinary procedural chatter, but midway through, faint rhythmic tones are audible in the background. Crew members murmur to each other in low voices, referencing lights and movements outside the spacecraft. The journalist, trained to analyze such material critically, attempts to verify the source, only to find the tape is abruptly recalled. Subsequent requests for access are denied, with official explanations citing archival, misplacement, or security review. Though the materials vanish, the journalist retains memories of the audio, notes in personal journals, and a quiet conviction that the events were real, even if unverifiable. In some cases, journalists themselves have encountered technical interference. Reports exist of tapes being corrupted or rendered unplayable shortly after being obtained, or of unexpected gaps appearing in recordings that had previously been intact. Some speculate that these events were unintentional, a result of aging magnetic media or transport errors. Others suggest deliberate intervention to prevent sensitive or anomalous content from being disseminated. Regardless of the cause, the outcome remains the same. Partial glimpses of extraordinary events emerge, only to fade from reach, leaving a trail of curiosity and conjecture. The role of media also intersects with public perception. When minor anomalies or missing segments are reported, public interest often spikes, prompting additional inquiries and investigations. NASA, in turn, carefully manages these interactions, releasing enough information to maintain credibility while preserving discretion regarding unexplained or extraordinary occurrences. This dynamic, repeated across decades, contributes to the enduring sense of mystery surrounding lost tapes and off-camera whispers. The public record, therefore, reflects a balance between transparency and control, between the thrill of discovery and the constraints of organizational protocol. Interestingly, even in modern times, the interplay between media and NASA continues. Social media, online forums, and citizen science projects provide new avenues for observations and discussions. Amateur astronomers, satellite trackers, and independent researchers occasionally identify phenomena coinciding with mission events, generating questions that echo those posed by professional journalists decades earlier. NASA's responses remain measured, often citing instrument error, natural explanations, or procedural anomalies. Yet the persistence of these discussions and the occasional emergence of partial recordings or declassified logs suggest that the Whisper network, though quieter than the headlines, continues to influence both professional and public understanding. Whispers from media insiders also hint at moments of ethical tension. Journalists recount being told not to publish certain details about unusual signals, unexplained shadows, or faint, unintelligible transmissions captured during missions. Some were even warned of the potential consequences of sharing sensitive or classified information, though the warnings were never threatening, always framed as professional responsibility. These interactions reveal the delicate choreography between disclosure, curiosity, and restraint, illustrating how knowledge can exist simultaneously in public and hidden forms. Moreover, media exposure can inadvertently corroborate patterns of missing recordings. In some cases, journalists' inquiries reveal discrepancies between publicly released footage and what was originally recorded. Technical logs may reference events, environmental readings, or communications that are absent in official archives. The pattern is subtle. Moments of potential anomaly often coincide with gaps in the publicly available record, and media attempts to explore these gaps sometimes meet with quiet resistance or procedural obstruction. This interplay reinforces the perception of a carefully managed boundary between what can be known publicly and what remains reserved for internal knowledge. Finally, the whispers of journalists, like those of astronauts and engineers, contribute to the broader mosaic of understanding. Their personal notes, anecdotal recollections, and partial access to recordings form an informal archival network that parallels NASA's official repositories. In quiet reflections, they recount experiences of fleeting anomalies, partially erased tapes, and soft-spoken admissions from insiders, fragments that, while never fully documented, collectively suggest a hidden dimension to space exploration. These fragments, though subtle, help form the contour of the Whisper network, linking missing tapes, off-camera testimonies, and shadow files in a way that is tangible, yet quietly veiled from the public eye. As we drift to the close of this chapter, picture the newsroom once more. The gentle clicking of keyboards, the low murmur of phone lines, and the soft rustle of paper as journalists attempt to trace threads of information that may never fully be accessible. Imagine the quiet satisfaction and restrained frustration of discovering a tape fragment only for it to vanish again. In this interplay between media and NASA, we glimpse a delicate dance, a negotiation of disclosure, a preservation of mystery, and a subtle acknowledgement that space, in its infinite complexity, is a domain where some knowledge is observed, recorded, and quietly shared, yet never fully revealed. Chapter 7: The Supernatural and Unexplained. Voices Beyond the Stars. As we continue this quiet journey through the hidden dimensions of space exploration, let your mind settle into the vast, gentle darkness that stretches beyond Earth. Picture the infinite expanse of space, a serene black canvas dotted with distant stars, their faint light reflecting softly on the surfaces of spacecraft. Imagine the steady hum of life support systems, the gentle vibrations of machinery, and the intermittent crackle of radio transmissions, a universe simultaneously silent and alive, vast and intimate. It is in this immense, almost sacred environment that astronauts occasionally encounter the subtle, the uncanny, and the unexplainable. These experiences, whispered privately among crews, sometimes hint at phenomena that defy simple scientific explanation, yet remain grounded in the lived reality of those who traverse the void. The reports of subtle, unexplained phenomena in space begin almost immediately with the earliest manned missions. Astronauts have long spoken, often in private, about fleeting lights, sudden shadows, and sounds that seem out of place in an environment where sound should not travel. During Gemini missions, some crew members reported seeing small, quick flashes outside the spacecraft, moving in deliberate, non-random patterns. Official documentation often attributed these to reflections, cosmic rays, or camera artifacts. Yet private accounts, quietly shared in off-camera conversations, describe an almost sentient quality to these lights, a fleeting awareness, a pattern of movement that seemed to respond to the spacecraft itself. Moving into the Apollo era, whispers of unusual experiences grow more compelling. Some astronauts reported hearing faint sounds, clicks, hums, or irregular tones that were not attributable to any mechanical or electronic source. These were subtle, often lasting only seconds, but they left an indelible impression. One Apollo astronaut described it as a noise that almost felt alive, a pattern that did not repeat consistently, but appeared in moments of silence when the crew's focus was elsewhere. These experiences were not recorded officially, or when they were, the segments were often labeled as instrument noise or anomaly, leaving only fragments of context. Some of the most intriguing reports involve voices or whisper-like sounds captured on audio logs. While official transcripts provide no indication of speech, fragments of tapes have reportedly contained faint murmurs, unidentifiable words, or soft exclamations that seemed to originate from no physical source aboard the spacecraft. One engineer, recalling an Apollo-era incident decades later, described playing a partially degraded tape and hearing what sounded like a voice murmuring a phrase too faint to decipher. When attempting to cross-reference with crew logs, there was no recorded communication at the corresponding time. The engineer reflected quietly on the experience, noting that the occurrence was subtle, fleeting, and never formally acknowledged, yet deeply unsettling. Fictionalized but entirely plausible accounts further illuminate the whispering phenomena. Imagine an astronaut aboard the International Space Station during a routine observation period. The crew notices small pulsating lights in the distance. At first, they assume it is a reflection or satellite. Hours later, as they review sensor data, they detect faint rhythmic pulses corresponding to the visual observations. During a quiet moment, one astronaut leans close to a fellow crew member and whispers, "Do you hear it? It's like it's speaking to us." There is a hesitation, a pause filled with the unspoken awareness that whatever they perceive lies beyond conventional understanding. Official reports simply indicate unexplained sensor readings, but off-camera, the conversation is preserved in memory, forming part of the astronaut's personal archive of experience. Electromagnetic phenomena in space may offer a partial explanation for some of these events, while leaving room for mystery. High-energy particles, solar flares, and electromagnetic fields interact in ways that can produce sensory effects or faint audio anomalies in sensitive equipment. Astronauts have reported moments in which the magnetic field readings fluctuate unexpectedly, coinciding with the perception of sounds, lights, or shadows. While the scientific interpretation points to natural causes, the consistency of these experiences across different missions, crews, and time periods suggest a pattern worth noting. These subtle anomalies are rarely documented in official logs, but they survive in off-camera conversations, personal diaries, and shadow files, forming a quiet tapestry of the unexplained. One particularly compelling account comes from a shuttle mission in the early 1980s. The crew reported a series of inexplicable signals on audio channels during an observation experiment. These signals were brief, irregular, and faintly modulated, unlike any known spacecraft transmission. The astronauts whispered among themselves, speculating whether the sounds could be communication from an unknown source. Engineers on the ground attempted to replicate the signals with equipment simulations, but found no plausible source. The recordings were subsequently archived in restricted storage, with the anomaly noted in classified logs but never discussed publicly. Decades later, retired personnel would recount these experiences in off-the-record interviews, describing a sense of wonder, curiosity, and cautious awe. Astronaut diaries, both real and plausibly reconstructed, also offer insight into the subtle supernatural undertones of space exploration. Some entries describe moments of profound existential reflection triggered by unusual observations. A fictionalized account imagines an astronaut documenting a fleeting shadow moving across the surface of the Earth from orbit. The entry reads, "I cannot explain what I saw. It was neither cloud nor aircraft. For a moment I felt that I was witnessing something ancient, perhaps aware of me, yet impossible to define. I spoke of it quietly to my crewmate. We agreed to speak no more in official logs." Such moments, whether historical or reconstructed, reflect the psychological resonance of space anomalies. The mixture of awe, fear, curiosity, and restraint that accompanies human encounters with the unknown. Subtle phenomena also extend to visual observations of distant objects. Some astronauts report seeing small, fast-moving shapes that appear intelligent in their movement, changing direction, or accelerating in ways inconsistent with known orbital physics. These sightings are often fleeting, lasting only a few seconds, yet they leave a lasting impression. Off-camera conversations may involve careful speculation. Are these natural occurrences, classified experimental satellites, or something entirely beyond human understanding? Official documentation tends to describe these moments in neutral or technical terms, often noting unidentified visual phenomena, leaving interpretation to the imagination. Even the psychological and physiological effects of spaceflight amplify these subtle phenomena. The isolation, sensory monotony, and constant awareness of the void heighten perception, sometimes blurring the line between observation and interpretation. Shadows can seem to move, lights can appear to pulse, and faint sounds can register as voices. Astronauts describe a heightened sensitivity to anomalies, a quiet intuition that something extraordinary may be occurring. This subjective experience, combined with incomplete recordings and subtle audio anomalies, contributes to the sense of a whisper network, a collection of human experiences existing just beyond the boundaries of formal documentation. In some accounts, anomalies take on a more overtly mysterious character. There are whispered reports of transient lights observed near spacecraft, moving in geometric patterns, or of brief shadow-like figures appearing in camera footage for a single frame. While these instances are rare and often fleeting, they are discussed in off-camera settings with a seriousness and caution that suggests a deep recognition of the unknown. Engineers and mission control staff, when interviewed decades later, recall moments when crew members were unusually reserved, hesitant, or awed during communications, hinting at experiences that were not officially recorded but profoundly real to those who witnessed them. Finally, the supernatural undertones of space exploration are reinforced by the interplay of technology and environment. Audio logs, sensor readings, and visual documentation sometimes capture subtle anomalies, low-frequency tones, faint echoes, brief light flashes that have no immediate explanation. While some of these can be attributed to cosmic radiation, equipment quirks, or reflection artifacts, the consistent recurrence across multiple missions, crews, and decades suggests a deeper layer of mystery. The whispers of astronauts, engineers, and even media personnel form a web of knowledge that acknowledges these phenomena without fully explaining them, creating a quiet, enduring sense that space holds subtle secrets beyond human comprehension. As we close this chapter, picture the spacecraft drifting silently above Earth, the infinite expanse stretching outward, and the faint whisper of voices, lights, and sounds just beyond perception. Imagine the astronauts, quietly observing, recording, and sharing experiences in hushed tones, creating a network of subtle knowledge that exists beyond the official archives. These moments, ephemeral yet persistent, remind us that the universe may hold phenomena that are real, experienced, and profoundly mysterious, existing quietly in the background of human exploration, waiting for those who listen closely enough to perceive them. Chapter 8. What NASA Isn't Telling Us. The Whisper Network. Revealed. As we drift gently through the quiet corridors of human space exploration, imagine the soft hum of computers, the gentle beeping of instrumentation, and the subtle rustle of mission logs being handled in a dimly lit archive. There exists a layer of knowledge at NASA, subtle, pervasive, and often invisible to the public eye, a whisper network formed from the private exchanges of astronauts, engineers, and mission control personnel over decades. This network, a delicate lattice of shared observations, undocumented conversations, and carefully restricted files, hints at extraordinary realities that remain hidden from formal records. Tonight, we explore what NASA isn't telling us, the hidden threads connecting lost tapes, shadow files, and hushed testimonies, and the quiet human effort to preserve these experiences. The Whisper Network is not merely a product of secrecy. It is a response to the extraordinary nature of space exploration itself. When astronauts venture beyond Earth, they encounter environments that challenge perception, cognition, and understanding. In these moments, subtle phenomena, lights, shadows, faint sounds, and unexplained mechanical anomalies may be observed. Some of these occurrences are captured partially on audio or visual recordings. Others remain only in memory, whispered between crew members during off-camera moments. These quiet exchanges, repeated and corroborated among peers, form a network of knowledge that exists parallel to the official public record. One retired NASA engineer recalls the first time they were introduced to the informal flow of insider knowledge. Tasked with cataloguing mission logs and audio tapes from the Apollo program, they encountered boxes of recordings marked with ambiguous labels such as classified, restricted access, and occasionally anomaly review. When questioned, senior personnel offered only vague explanations, but hinted at experiences shared among astronauts that were considered not for official record. The engineer later described hearing private anecdotes of lights observed near spacecraft that seemed to move with intelligence, fleeting shadows on the lunar surface that were never fully documented, and whispered concerns about signals that did not correspond to any known instrument. These stories, while never formally acknowledged, were quietly reinforced across multiple missions, forming an invisible thread that connected astronaut experiences over decades. The Whisper Network appears to function along several dimensions. One dimension is temporal. Unusual events, anomalous readings, or unexplained visual phenomena often correspond with gaps in the official recordings. Tapes are missing, segments erased, or files marked as inaccessible. Engineers and archivists, when asked decades later, report subtle patterns. The anomalies are rarely random, occurring with greater frequency during missions involving deep space observation, long-duration lunar orbits, or encounters with unexpected environmental conditions. While technical explanations, tape degradation, archival errors, or procedural oversight account for some gaps, the persistence of certain patterns suggests deliberate consideration, a conscious or subconscious decision to manage how sensitive experiences are recorded and disseminated. Another dimension is interpersonal. The Whisper Network relies heavily on the informal transmission of knowledge. Astronauts share observations quietly during downtime, after official debriefings, or in private communications. Engineers corroborate these reports with sensor readings or tape fragments, noting anomalies that never appear in public logs. Mission control personnel too contribute to the network, passing along notes, observations, or recollections that provide context or clarification for unusual events. This collective, tacit understanding allows knowledge to persist even when formal documentation is incomplete or deliberately restricted. The network is, in essence, a living archive of human experience in extraordinary circumstances. A particularly compelling illustration comes from a fictionalized but plausible account involving a shuttle mission in the 1980s. During a routine orbital observation, crew members reported seeing lights moving erratically around the spacecraft, shapes that did not correspond to satellites, reflections, or other known objects. They whispered their observations to one another in hushed tones, careful to document details in personal notes rather than official logs. Engineers reviewing telemetry noted irregular readings coinciding with these observations. Transient electromagnetic anomalies, subtle variations in sensor data, and faint unexplained audio signals. While none of these occurrences were officially recorded as extraordinary, They were quietly shared among select personnel, forming a node within the Whisper network, a moment of collective awareness that was simultaneously documented and concealed. The persistence of these accounts across decades, missions, and space programs suggests that the Whisper network is not incidental but systemic. Retired astronauts and engineers have described it as a self-regulating system of knowledge management. Its primary function is to preserve awareness of unusual events while preventing misinterpretation or public alarm. Anomalous signals, unexplained visual phenomena, or subtle audio disturbances are acknowledged, analysed, and contextualised, but rarely enter official mission records in a form accessible to the public. Over time, the network accumulates a rich repository of human experience, quietly connecting moments that would otherwise seem isolated. Shadow files and missing tapes play a critical role in this system. They are the physical manifestations of selective preservation, repositories where unexplainable events, hushed conversations, and partial recordings are stored away from public scrutiny. Some tapes, according to insider accounts, capture conversations in which astronauts express awe, fear, or deep curiosity about what they witness. Others record mechanical or sensor anomalies that do not fit conventional models, accompanied by whispered speculations about their origins. These files, while inaccessible to the general public, form a vital backbone of the Whisper network, allowing future generations of astronauts and engineers to learn from past experiences, even when official records remain incomplete. The psychological and social aspects of the network are equally important. Human beings are naturally curious, yet trained astronauts are also disciplined and cautious. The Whisper network balances these tendencies. It preserves awareness without compromising operational integrity or public perception. Crew members learn to differentiate between what must be officially documented and what is worth sharing privately. Engineers and mission controllers learn to cross-reference anomalies with technical data while respecting confidentiality protocols. Over time, this creates a culture of subtle communication, an intricate web in which the extraordinary is neither ignored nor exaggerated, but quietly acknowledged and shared among those who understand its significance. Whisper network interactions also extend beyond NASA. Anecdotal reports suggest informal communication with international colleagues, particularly during periods of joint missions, cooperative observation programs, or shared research initiatives. Engineers and astronauts have reportedly discussed unusual phenomena with peers in other countries, forming tentative networks of knowledge that cross national boundaries. These conversations are cautious, carefully phrased, and often undocumented, yet they contribute to the broader pattern of hidden awareness, a silent recognition that space is filled with phenomena that demand attention, curiosity, and discretion. Even media interactions intersect with the Whisper network. Partial leaks, mislabeled tapes, or journalist inquiries occasionally reveal fragments of unusual events, prompting private discussions among NASA personnel to determine what is safe to disclose publicly. While the official record emphasizes transparency and accuracy, the Whisper network operates quietly, managing what is shared and what is withheld. In this sense, the network is as much about controlling narrative as it is about preserving memory, a subtle mechanism for ensuring that knowledge of extraordinary occurrences persists even when the public record is incomplete. As we reach the end of this chapter, allow your imagination to drift along the invisible threads of the Whisper network. Picture astronauts leaning close to one another, sharing observations in low tones, engineers cataloguing tapes marked restricted or anomalous with quiet reverence, and the soft hum of orbiting spacecraft, carrying both technology and the human impulse to notice, remember, and preserve. These threads, delicate yet persistent, connect moments across decades, forming a network of awareness that exists just beyond the reach of public documentation. They remind us that what NASA isn't telling us is not necessarily fabricated or fictional. It is often quietly preserved in memory, conversation, and shadowed archives, forming a living, breathing record of human encounters with the extraordinary. Chapter 9: Psychological and Spiritual Impacts on Astronauts. As we continue our slow and reflective journey through the hidden corridors of space exploration, imagine the quiet isolation of a spacecraft orbiting high above the Earth, the planet's gentle blue curvature glowing faintly in the window far below, while stars stretch endlessly beyond. Within this environment, astronauts are confronted with experiences that challenge not only their technical understanding, but their very perception of reality. The psychological and spiritual impacts of spaceflight, particularly when encountering phenomena that defy explanation, are subtle, profound, and often quietly documented in private logs, whispered conversations, and informal reports. Space is simultaneously beautiful, serene, and unsettling. The human mind, conditioned to perceive the familiar, finds itself in an environment where scale, orientation, and sensory input are entirely altered. Time moves differently, perception of distance is distorted, and the ordinary rules of daily life no longer apply. For astronauts, this sensory and cognitive recalibration is compounded when unexpected or unexplainable events occur. A faint light moving against predicted orbital paths, a whisper-like anomaly on a recording, or a mechanical behavior that seems almost intentional. These moments often evoke a complex blend of curiosity, wonder, and unease, touching upon psychological and spiritual dimensions rarely discussed in official reports. Astronauts often describe experiences of awe that are difficult to articulate. Observing Earth from orbit, they note its fragility, beauty, and interconnectedness, a perspective sometimes referred to as the overview effect. However, when subtle anomalies are observed, fleeting shadows, unexplained lights, or faint auditory signals, this effect can merge with a sense of existential wonder or even existential anxiety. One retired astronaut, speaking informally years after a mission, described a moment when a soft, almost imperceptible hum was heard through the spacecraft's structural frame. It was unrecorded in official logs, yet the hum, combined with distant visual phenomena, evoked a profound awareness of being both infinitesimal and intimately connected to the cosmos. The psychological impact of such experiences can be deeply transformative, altering perception, priorities, and even spiritual reflection. Isolation in space amplifies these effects. While astronauts undergo rigorous psychological training, the sensory deprivation and monotony of long-duration missions heightens sensitivity to subtle anomalies. Shadows can appear to move, lights can pulse faintly, and faint sounds can be interpreted as voices or signals. These experiences, while often explainable through physics or neuropsychology, take on added weight when corroborated by multiple crew members or when coinciding with sensor anomalies or missing recordings. The combination of isolation, sensory recalibration, and exposure to phenomena outside conventional understanding creates a unique psychological environment in which astronauts' perceptions are both heightened and deeply personal. The spiritual dimension of spaceflight also becomes evident when considering how astronauts respond to unexplainable events. Many report a sense of connection to something larger than themselves, a quiet acknowledgement that the universe contains layers of reality not fully accessible to human understanding. For example, private diaries from Apollo missions, some now partially declassified, reference moments of silent reflection following unanticipated visual or auditory phenomena. One diary entry, plausibly reconstructed based on numerous interviews and anecdotes, describes a fleeting shadow on the moon's surface that defied explanation. The astronaut notes a sensation of being observed and a quiet awe that transcended fear or technical curiosity. Such experiences, while subtle, can be transformative, leaving an enduring impression on one's world view. Fictionalized yet credible narratives further illuminate these psychological and spiritual impacts. Imagine a crew aboard the International Space Station, observing a faint series of lights moving against orbital predictions. During a moment of quiet, one astronaut whispers to another, "It feels like they know we're here." The observation is fleeting, sensor data is inconclusive, and official logs describe only minor orbital anomalies. Yet the moment lingers in memory, subtly reshaping perception and inspiring private reflection on humanity's place in the cosmos. These kinds of experiences, though often absent from public documentation, are integral to understanding the full spectrum of astronaut psychology. Beyond individual experiences, the collective impact of shared anomalies can influence crew dynamics. Astronauts who encounter unexplained events together often develop heightened trust and a tacit understanding of shared responsibility in interpreting what is observed. Whispered conversations, quiet speculation, and mutual acknowledgement of phenomena outside formal documentation foster a sense of communal experience, a network of understanding that parallels the physical whisper network of missing tapes and shadow files. The psychological weight of these shared experiences is subtle yet profound, forming an invisible bond among crew members that persists long after missions conclude. Reports of unexplained phenomena also interact with stress and performance under the extreme conditions of spaceflight. Missions involve tight schedules, high-stakes operations, and constant technical vigilance. The addition of subtle anomalies or unexplained occurrences introduces a layer of cognitive complexity, requiring astronauts to balance curiosity with operational focus. Retired personnel have described moments when crew members quietly acknowledged lights, shadows, or sounds during downtime or after mission hours, choosing not to escalate these observations in official reports to avoid distraction or procedural complications. These decisions illustrate the careful interplay between perception, discretion, and professional responsibility, a balancing act that shapes both psychological resilience and mission integrity. Some astronauts report lingering effects long after returning to Earth. Dreams, reflective meditations, and subtle shifts in worldview are common. Experiences that were whispered quietly among crewmates in orbit may resurface as persistent curiosity, altered perception of time, or profound philosophical reflection. One informal account describes an astronaut returning from a lunar mission who noted recurring dreams of faint moving lights over the lunar surface, accompanied by sensations of quiet communication. While the experiences were subjective, they were vividly remembered and shared only with trusted colleagues or family, forming part of a network of unspoken but deeply impactful knowledge. The interplay of spiritual, psychological, and social dimensions also shapes the broader whisper network. Astronauts who experience anomalies often report them privately, discuss them quietly with peers, or record personal notes that are never publicly released. Engineers, mission controllers, and archivists may corroborate subtle signals or partial recordings, forming a chain of tacit validation that ensures these experiences are preserved even without formal acknowledgement. Over decades, this creates a layered record, a network of memory, perception, and insight that exists alongside and sometimes independent of official archives. Even subtle interpersonal dynamics reflect the depth of impact. Crew members often hesitate to discuss anomalies with ground control or the public for fear of misunderstanding or dismissal. These quiet decisions reinforce the importance of the Whisper network. It provides a safe, trusted space in which experiences can be shared, validated, and contextualized without the pressure of immediate explanation or public scrutiny. In this way, the psychological and spiritual dimensions of spaceflight are intimately linked to the structure and function of the Whisper network itself. Finally, these experiences highlight the profound and ongoing mystery of human encounters with the unknown in space. The combination of visual anomalies, faint audio signals, missing tapes, and personal reflection forms a rich tapestry of experience that is difficult to quantify but deeply meaningful. It demonstrates that spaceflight is not only a technical endeavour, but also a profound human journey, one in which astronauts navigate the limits of perception, consciousness, and understanding. Their whispered accounts, personal diaries, and private reflections create an enduring legacy of psychological and spiritual insight, quietly recorded in the fabric of the Whisper network, waiting for those who seek to explore the hidden dimensions of our exploration of the stars. As we close this chapter, imagine yourself drifting gently through the quiet darkness of orbit, observing the Earth, the stars, and the silent signals that sometimes go unnoticed. Feel the subtle resonance of human experience, awe, curiosity, wonder, and reflection. Sense the hidden network of understanding, of whispers, shadows, and untold observations, a continuum of insight connecting astronauts across decades. The psychological and spiritual impact of these experiences is as real as any technical achievement, quietly shaping our perception of space, humanity, and the mysteries that lie beyond. Chapter 10: Experts Speak, Engineers, Mission Control, and Insiders. As we continue our quiet exploration into the hidden dimensions of human spaceflight, picture yourself in the hushed corridors of Mission Control, the soft glow of consoles reflecting across the room, monitors displaying streams of telemetry data, and the steady hum of communication channels as engineers and controllers maintain constant vigilance over spacecraft millions of miles from Earth. Within this environment, knowledge is not only recorded but interpreted, analysed, and often quietly filtered. It is here, amid the blinking lights, technical readouts, and endless spreadsheets, that some of the most revealing and understated accounts of unexplainable phenomena are born. Accounts that rarely reach the public but quietly inform the Whisper network that threads through NASA's history. Engineers and technical experts are uniquely positioned to observe anomalies that may elude both astronauts and public record. Their deep understanding of spacecraft systems, sensors, and environmental variables allows them to notice subtle irregularities, unexpected oscillations in data, minute deviations in orbital trajectories, or faint unexplained signals detected by telemetry equipment. While official reports often categorize such anomalies as instrument error, calibration drift, or cosmic interference, off-camera discussions sometimes reveal deeper curiosity. Engineers may remark in low tones during coffee breaks or private meetings that certain phenomena didn't behave according to the design, that a sensor reading was anomalous beyond explanation, or that a brief audio segment contained sounds we weren't trained to interpret. These understated acknowledgements, repeated across multiple missions and personnel, contribute to a rich internal awareness that is preserved far from the public eye. One retired engineer, speaking decades after an Apollo mission, described receiving a series of audio tapes marked as classified, review only. When played, most segments contained routine mission chatter, but occasionally subtle sounds emerged, low-frequency tones, faint murmurs, or brief audio distortions that did not match any onboard equipment. In private discussions, the engineer noted that crew members had whispered about observing lights or objects that appeared intelligent in motion, movements inconsistent with known physics or satellite trajectories. While these accounts were never officially recorded, they were corroborated informally among engineers who analysed the tapes, quietly affirming the experiences of astronauts while maintaining discretion. Mission control personnel offer another window into the hidden complexities of space operations. Controllers often witness anomalies indirectly through telemetry, visual feeds, or sporadic communications. While their role is to ensure mission safety, they occasionally detect patterns that are difficult to explain. For instance, during a shuttle mission in the late 1980s, controllers observed repeated fluctuations in sensor readings that coincided with faint, intermittent visual phenomena reported by the crew. Attempts to replicate the anomaly on Earth failed, leaving the controllers with only speculation and careful notes. Privately, they shared observations with trusted colleagues, contributing to the quiet accumulation of knowledge that forms part of the Whisper network. Insiders also recount subtle interactions that hint at the boundaries of official disclosure. One fictionalized but entirely plausible account involves a mid-level engineer who was tasked with auditing archived Apollo 16 recordings. The engineer discovered gaps in audio logs coinciding with moments when astronauts reported unusual lights near the spacecraft. When questioning supervisors, they were told simply that some moments are best left unrecorded. These interactions, understated yet precise, reveal a culture of cautious acknowledgement, a recognition that certain phenomena may be real, compelling, and significant, but require careful management to avoid misinterpretation or public alarm. The nature of these accounts often blends the technical with the human. Engineers describe observing sensor readings that fluctuate with no apparent cause, only to find corresponding whispers from astronauts discussing faint lights or mechanical phenomena that cannot be explained by existing models. Controllers note instances when communications channels momentarily carry static that seems to react to crew activity or environmental conditions. Retired personnel recall moments of shared curiosity, hushed conversations, and mutual acknowledgement of events that defy explanation, creating a layered network of awareness that exists beyond official reporting channels. Credible rumors, sometimes bordering on insider folklore, also circulate among engineers and mission control staff. Accounts describe audio tapes labeled restricted anomaly logs, containing whispered conversations, subtle background tones, or faint exclamations by astronauts reacting to unexplained phenomena. Some engineers report accessing portions of these files, noting that they captured moments we were never meant to hear, from eerie mechanical sounds to subtle signals that appeared synchronized with external lights or objects. While many of these rumors remain unverifiable, the consistency of details across multiple sources, engineers, controllers, and retired astronauts, lends a sense of plausibility to the existence of extraordinary events quietly documented but never publicly disclosed. The structure of insider knowledge is itself intriguing. Information is often tiered, with some engineers and mission controllers privy to anomalies in real time, others gaining awareness through post-mission debriefs, and a few accessing archived recordings decades later. Each layer adds nuance, contextualization, and verification, forming a web of tacit knowledge that is cumulative yet discrete. This structure ensures that experiences, observations, and anomalous events are preserved without disrupting operational integrity or public perception, reinforcing the quiet, resilient nature of the Whisper network. Some testimonies also hint at subtle psychological effects on personnel exposed repeatedly to anomalies. Engineers and controllers have described moments of awe or discomfort when reviewing tapes or sensor data that defied expected patterns. In one case, a retired mission specialist recounted reviewing telemetry showing transient, unexplained signals during a lunar orbit. The readings corresponded with off-camera comments by astronauts about strange visual phenomena. The specialist described an eerie feeling of witnessing something extraordinary yet intangible, a quiet realization that some aspect of space exploration transcend conventional understanding. These psychological responses, though understated, underscore the profound impact of repeated exposure to anomalies on those intimately connected with missions. In addition to individual accounts, multiple corroborating stories reinforce the idea that extraordinary events were quietly shared among insiders. Engineers working on independent systems, mission controllers overseeing separate channels, and astronauts themselves often report similar anomalies, suggesting that these experiences were not isolated or misperceived, but part of a consistent pattern. Whether faint audio distortions, subtle electromagnetic fluctuations, or brief visual phenomena, these repeated observations across decades point to an enduring set of experiences that challenge conventional explanation while remaining firmly grounded in the documented reality of space operations. Even after retirement, insiders continue to hint at hidden knowledge. Former engineers and controllers often speak obliquely of experiences, referencing tapes, logs, and private conversations that illuminated extraordinary events. Some describe viewing partial recordings of off-camera astronaut discussions, noting moments of awe, speculation, or confusion that were never formally logged. Others recount observing inconsistencies between official reports and archival data, subtle discrepancies that reinforce the sense that certain events were intentionally left undocumented. These post-career reflections underscore the lasting imprint of the Whisper network and its role in preserving a quiet, cumulative understanding of anomalous phenomena in space. The interplay between engineers, mission control staff, and astronauts forms a cohesive, multi-layered system of knowledge management. Each participant contributes unique insight. Astronauts provide direct observation and personal experience. Engineers contextualize anomalies within systems and technical understanding, and mission controllers offer a broader operational perspective. Together, their coordinated awareness, informal documentation, and cautious sharing reinforce the integrity of the Whisper network, ensuring that unusual phenomena are acknowledged, analyzed, and preserved, even when official records remain incomplete, classified, or partially erased. As we close this chapter, picture the dim glow of consoles, the rhythmic tapping of keyboards, and the quiet murmur of discussions among those entrusted with humanity's gaze into the cosmos. Hear the faint echoes of audio tapes, the subtle patterns in telemetry, and the hushed recollections of those who have walked the corridors of mission control. These voices, quiet yet persistent, remind us that what is officially recorded is only a portion of the story. The whispers, the anomalies, the fleeting moments captured in shadowed files and private memory form a parallel record, a network of understanding that connects human experience, technical observation, and subtle curiosity across decades. It is in this network, maintained by engineers, mission controllers, and insiders, that we begin to glimpse the extraordinary realities quietly observed, cautiously shared, and never fully revealed to the world. Chapter 11: Theories about why tapes disappeared. As we continue our serene exploration into the hidden corridors of space history, imagine yourself surrounded by shelves of magnetic tapes, reels of audio recordings, and stacks of archival documents, some carefully labelled, others marked vaguely as restricted. or classified. The quiet hum of fans, the faint vibration of nearby equipment, and the dim glow of overhead lighting form a backdrop to a question that has intrigued researchers, journalists, and space enthusiasts for decades. Why did so many NASA recordings, particularly from pivotal missions like Apollo, vanish or become partially inaccessible? What caused these gaps, and what might they conceal? Tonight, we explore these questions in depth, weaving together technical realities, plausible insider motives, and subtle yet compelling mysteries to understand why the tapes disappeared. One prominent theory centers on the practical realities of early space missions. In the 1960s and 1970s, magnetic tapes were expensive, bulky, and finite. Archival practices prioritized efficiency and cost saving, and many original recordings, including the Apollo 11 moon landing tapes, were erased or reused to make space for subsequent missions. Engineers and archivists at the time described this as a routine practice. Tapes were often labeled for reuse once mission-critical data was extracted and confirmed to be preserved in other formats. While this explanation is grounded in documented operational necessity, it does not account for the consistent patterns observed in which certain types of recordings, particularly those capturing unusual anomalies, off-camera whispers, or subtle environmental effects, seem disproportionately absent or incomplete. Another theory suggests deliberate suppression to prevent public alarm. The Apollo program during the height of the Cold War operated under intense scrutiny and public expectation. Astronauts and engineers occasionally reported observing phenomena that did not conform to known science. Fleeting lights in lunar orbit, transient shadows on the moon, or subtle audio distortions in the spacecraft's communication channels. Off-camera, whispers of these events circulated among astronauts, engineers, and mission control staff. Some insiders have suggested that tapes containing these anomalies were withheld, partially erased, or archived in restricted sections precisely to manage the narrative and prevent speculation about extraterrestrial encounters or unexplained occurrences. While the official reasoning often cites technical or administrative justification, the possibility that unusual observations influenced decisions about what was preserved adds a compelling layer to the mystery. Electromagnetic interference and technical anomalies also provide a plausible explanation. Early recording systems were sensitive to cosmic rays, solar flares, and fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field. Engineers have documented incidents where tapes were degraded, corrupted, or rendered unusable by such interference. Some of these incidents coincided with moments when astronauts reported visual or auditory anomalies, leading to speculation that the loss of recordings may have been partly unintentional, but closely tied to extraordinary phenomena. In this context, the disappearance of tapes becomes not merely a logistical problem, but a potential window into the unknown, hinting at forces in space capable of subtly interacting with human technology. A third theory combines practical considerations with intentional obfuscation. Some retired engineers and mission control staff recount stories in which tapes containing sensitive material were marked for special review, then gradually removed from public access. These tapes reportedly included segments where astronauts discussed unexpected lights, mechanical anomalies, or other subtle events that were difficult to interpret. Engineers, following protocol, ensured these recordings were stored securely, with restricted access for decades. While much of this count remains informal and partially anecdotal, it is consistent with the observed patterns. Certain missions, particularly lunar and deep space missions, have disproportionately higher rates of missing or partially erased tapes, often coinciding with reports of subtle anomalies or unexplained phenomena. Fictionalized but plausible narratives offer further insight. Imagine an archivist in the 1970s tasked with reviewing Apollo mission tapes. During routine inspection, they notice a segment of audio marked miscellaneous chatter that, when played, contains the faint whispers of astronauts discussing lights outside the spacecraft, movements inconsistent with expected orbital mechanics, and fleeting sounds of indeterminate origin. The archivist is instructed to re-record over the tape due to storage constraints, yet the memory of these whispered events lingers. Years later, when speaking off the record to researchers, the archivist hints that some tapes were knowingly recycled precisely because they captured moments that would challenge conventional narratives about human experience in space. These stories, while unverifiable in official documentation, align with anecdotal patterns reported by retired personnel, forming a subtle but consistent narrative of selective preservation. There's also a layer of geopolitical context. During the height of the space race, information regarding space anomalies, satellite trajectories, and unexpected observations was closely guarded. Some missing tapes may reflect deliberate classification, intended to prevent foreign intelligence agencies from interpreting subtle signs of unusual events. In this scenario, the disappearance of tapes serves both operational and strategic purposes, with certain recordings withheld from public view not solely due to cost or error, but as part of a broader effort to control sensitive information that could be misinterpreted, misused, or cause public speculation about the unknown. A psychological dimension further enriches this understanding. Astronauts, aware of both the technical and social consequences of reporting unexplained phenomena, may have consciously limited official commentary, relying on private, whispered exchanges instead. Engineers, mission controllers, and archivists attuned to subtle anomalies may have silently corroborated these experiences while following strict protocol in official documentation. The resulting pattern, missing tapes, erased segments, and restricted files, is not merely administrative oversight, but a reflection of human behavior under conditions of secrecy, curiosity, and professional responsibility. In this sense, the disappearance of recordings is as much about managing perception and maintaining credibility as it is about storage, cost, or technical failure. Even decades later, corroborating anecdotes suggest that the Whisper network continues to preserve knowledge of lost tapes. Retired personnel occasionally recount fragments of conversations, subtle anomalies, and the faint hum of off-camera observations, reinforcing the idea that the missing recordings were never truly forgotten, but quietly remembered and shared among trusted colleagues. These recollections include mentions of tapes with inexplicable sounds, unexplained visual phenomena, and brief mechanical irregularities, fragments that were never released publicly, yet remain part of the human narrative of space exploration. In exploring the disappearance of NASA tapes, we must also consider the interplay of technology, human perception, and the unknown. Recording systems, while sophisticated for their time, were imperfect. Human attention is selective, and space itself is a complex environment with electromagnetic, gravitational, and radiative forces that can interact subtly with instruments. When combined with the possibility of unexplainable phenomena, the missing tapes form a nexus where technical reality, human cognition, and mystery intersect. It is within this intersection that the Whisper network emerges, a living, persistent archive of experience, partially captured on fragile media, partially preserved in memory, and deliberately or unintentionally filtered from public record. Finally, the loss of these tapes underscores a profound truth. Human exploration of space is not merely technical, but deeply human. It involves perception, interpretation, discretion, and reflection. The disappearing tapes, whether erased for efficiency withheld for discretion or degraded by environmental factors, leave gaps in the official record. Yet these gaps are filled by whispers, personal accounts, informal corroborations, and private memories. The tapes themselves may be gone, but the knowledge they contained, the faint sounds, the quiet conversations, the subtle anomalies, persists in the collective consciousness of those who ventured into the void, forming a bridge between what was observed, what was recorded, and what remains forever just beyond reach. As we conclude this chapter, allow your imagination to linger on those reels as tape, gently spinning in a quiet archive, the faint residual impressions of voices, lights, and unrecorded observations softly echoing in the silence. Consider the delicate balance between technical necessity, secrecy, human discretion, and mystery that shaped which recording survived and which vanished. In the subtle interplay of these forces lies a tapestry of extraordinary experience, quietly preserved through the Whisper Network, inviting us to contemplate what might have been captured, what was deliberately concealed, and what still waits for discovery. Chapter 12: Investigating the Whisper Network Today. As we drift further into the hidden corridors of space exploration, imagine yourself in a quiet room illuminated only by the soft glow of monitors displaying archival footage, faint lines of telemetry, and scattered notes from interviews. The room is silent except for the occasional hum of computers, a reminder of the complex technology quietly preserving history and memory. Tonight, we explore how the Whisper Network continues to unfold today, decades after the Apollo missions, the shuttle programs, and the early days of the International Space Station. We will look at private astronaut interviews, subtle hints on social media, newly declassified reports, and ongoing investigations by ufologists and space enthusiasts. Each piece forms a thread in the living tapestry of hidden knowledge, quietly connecting past experiences to the present. Modern investigations into the Whisper Network often begin with a few astronauts and engineers willing to speak off camera. Many share their memories of subtle anomalies, unexplainable lights, mechanical oddities, or faint audio disturbances that were never officially documented. These interviews, conducted in private or under the condition of anonymity, reveal a continuity of experiences across generations of spaceflight. One astronaut described, in a calm and reflective tone, moments when faint, irregular lights appeared outside the spacecraft during orbital maneuvers. Officially, these moments were dismissed as reflections or sensor artifacts, yet the astronaut, in quiet discussion with colleagues, noted that the movements were inconsistent with any known satellite, orbital debris, or celestial body. These subtle observations, shared informally, continue to feed the Whisper Network, linking new experiences with those recorded decades earlier. Social media and online platforms now play a surprising role in preserving and investigating whispers. Although official NASA channels maintain strict oversight, private forums, blogs, and channels dedicated to space anomalies host discussions that echo past insider reports. Observers, sometimes retired personnel or civilian enthusiasts, analyze declassified images, telemetry fragments, and partial audio recordings, noting coincidences or anomalies that correspond with stories whispered privately among astronauts and engineers. Small, seemingly innocuous posts often reveal patterns, recurring descriptions of lights, faint mechanical hums, or environmental anomalies that align with missing or partially erased recordings. These modern investigations extend the Whisper Network, creating a digital layer where historical gaps can be examined, contextualized, and sometimes corroborated. Newly declassified documents have also provided a subtle but tantalizing window into the persistence of the Whisper network. Reports released under the Freedom of Information Act spanning decades occasionally include annotations, internal memos, or redacted sections hinting at events described in private interviews. For instance, a recently declassified telemetry log from a 1970s lunar mission includes marginal notes indicating that engineers observed sensor anomalies at the exact time astronauts reported unusual lights outside the spacecraft. While these logs stop short of confirming the phenomena officially, the correlation between the declassified data and private accounts reinforces the notion that some extraordinary experiences were quietly recognized internally, even if never publicly acknowledged. The role of investigative journalists and ufologists cannot be understated. Over the years, a small network of dedicated researchers has sought to piece together fragments of lost tapes, shadow files, and anecdotal testimonies. They carefully cross-reference flight logs, astronaut interviews, declassified documents, and occasional media leaks, building a mosaic of knowledge that, while incomplete, illuminates a consistent pattern. Anomalies observed, off-camera conversations held, and subtle signals recorded but never fully disclosed. One journalist recounted under conditions of anonymity, attempting to locate partial Apollo mission audio files rumoured to contain faint unidentifiable sounds captured during lunar orbits. Despite official resistance, the fragments they obtained corresponded closely with whispered anecdotes shared by retired personnel, lending credibility to the existence of undocumented events. Private astronaut interviews continue to be a central source of insight. Many astronauts, once removed from the intense scrutiny of mission obligations, are willing to discuss experiences that were never officially recorded. Some recount moments of eerie silence during spacewalks when instruments briefly failed, coinciding with subtle lights or mechanical anomalies outside the spacecraft. Others describe faint, irregular signals on communication channels, whispers of sound that were never fully interpreted, yet created a sense of presence beyond the ordinary. These accounts are often consistent with archival gaps and missing recordings, suggesting that the Whisper network is not a collection of isolated anecdotes, but a continuous, multi-generational phenomenon. Technology today allows for new forms of verification. Researchers can analyze declassified imagery using enhanced digital tools, cross-reference historical telemetry data with environmental simulations, and identify patterns that may correspond to previously unexplained phenomena. These analyses occasionally corroborate details from off-camera accounts, such as the timing of anomalies, faint light movements, or sensor irregularities. Even subtle features, a recurring shadow, a brief deviation in orbital velocity, a faint audio signal, can be mapped against historical testimony, creating a rich, multi-dimensional understanding of what may have been observed and whispered about decades ago. The Whisper network is not static. It adapts with each new mission. As astronauts venture further into low Earth orbit, the Moon, and eventually Mars, their private experiences, those brief moments of awe, fear, or curiosity, are quietly shared among colleagues and occasionally documented in private notes or debriefing discussions. These moments continue to feed the network, forming connections between historical anomalies, missing recordings, and contemporary observations. Each layer of information, whether a faint audio hum, an unexplained light, or a subtle mechanical irregularity, adds depth and texture to a network that exists parallel to official records, quietly growing in scope and complexity. Even subtle institutional behavior today reflects an awareness of the Whisper network. NASA's modern data management protocols, including selective declassification, restricted archives, and controlled access to certain mission recordings, suggest that lessons learned from past anomalies inform current policy. While technology has advanced, the underlying principle remains. Certain phenomena are acknowledged internally, often corroborated among experts, yet remain partially hidden from public view. In this way, the Whisper Network continues to function as both a repository of hidden knowledge and a subtle guide for how anomalous experiences are interpreted, preserved, and cautiously shared. Public interest and engagement contribute further to the network's vitality. Online communities dedicated to space anomalies, archival research, and astronaut testimony often uncover patterns, compare accounts, and highlight correlations that might otherwise be overlooked. Enthusiasts track the timing of anomalies, cross-reference missing or erased recordings, and speculate on potential explanations, effectively extending the Whisper Network into the public sphere without compromising its internal discretion. Each observation, discussion, and discovery, however tentative, adds a layer of continuity and preserves the spirit of exploration that motivated the network's original participants. As we conclude this chapter, imagine the quiet persistence of knowledge across decades. Astronauts reflecting on faint anomalies in private interviews, engineers cataloguing sensor irregularities, researchers piecing together fragments of lost tapes, and online enthusiasts mapping subtle patterns from the past. The Whisper Network exists not only in memory and private conversation, but in the careful, deliberate accumulation of insight across generations. It is a living, evolving phenomenon, quietly preserving extraordinary observations, subtle anomalies, and unspoken experiences that continue to challenge our understanding of space, technology, and human perception. It is a network that bridges the past and the present, connecting whispered recollections, partial recordings, and the enduring curiosity that drives humanity to explore the unknown. Chapter 13: The Lost Tapes as Evidence of the Unknown. As we continue our quiet journey through the hidden layers of space exploration, envision a dimly lit archival room filled with shelves of magnetic tapes, reel-to-reel recordings, and boxes of documents, each labeled with mission names and dates, yet many bearing gaps, redactions, or markings that indicate restricted access. Among these materials lie the lost tapes, fragments of human experience orbiting the boundary between documented history and unrecorded mystery. The disappearance of these recordings has long fueled speculation, yet there is compelling evidence suggesting that these gaps are more than administrative oversight. They may contain traces of phenomena humanity has not yet fully understood, whispers of events quietly acknowledged within NASA, and subtle signals that defy easy explanation. The very nature of the lost tapes suggests a layered reality. Consider the Apollo missions, particularly Apollo 11, whose original moon landing tapes were erased or recorded over in the early 1980s due to cost-saving measures and storage limitations. On the surface, this appears to be a mundane logistical decision. Yet historians, engineers, and retired personnel have noted patterns in which specific moments were lost, segments coinciding with astronauts' private whispers about fleeting lights, subtle mechanical anomalies, or sounds that were never fully explained. The intersection of missing data and whispered accounts creates a compelling case. The lost tapes are not simply absent. They are a record of experiences that were recognized as extraordinary, perhaps beyond conventional understanding, and quietly archived in human memory rather than on magnetic media. Some retired personnel recall moments when they encountered these tapes, or fragments of them, under restricted access. Engineers who reviewed archival reels described hearing segments of audio containing low-frequency hums, faint whispers, or brief exclamations by astronauts reacting to visual phenomena outside their spacecraft. One such account details a tape from a lunar orbit mission, where crew members briefly commented on lights moving independently of expected satellite paths, while subtle sensor readings registered inexplicable energy fluctuations. Official logs made no mention of these observations, and the segments were later erased or reclassified. These recollections, though partly anecdotal, suggest a deliberate curation of information where unusual events were recognized internally but shielded from public scrutiny. The lost tapes also intersect with the human experience of witnessing the unknown. Astronauts have described moments of awe, fear, and curiosity when encountering phenomena that cannot be explained by current scientific understanding. Private diaries and informal debriefings, some now declassified, reference visual anomalies, mechanical irregularities, and faint signals that appeared during lunar or orbital missions. In one account, an astronaut noted observing a faint series of lights that seemed to move in a coordinated pattern outside the spacecraft, accompanied by a barely perceptible audio hum. Though the event was never officially documented, the memory of it persisted, shared quietly among crewmates and engineers. The lost tapes, in this context, may have captured these subtle phenomena, preserving evidence of events that extend beyond routine mission operations. Fictionalized yet plausible reconstructions further illuminate the significance of these tapes. Imagine an engineer in the 1970s tasked with digitizing Apollo audio logs. During playback, the engineer notices intermittent distortions, faint whispers that do not correspond with known communication channels, low-frequency tones that elude technical explanation, and visual annotations of lights captured on film segments. The engineer records these anomalies privately, creating a personal catalogue of unexplained events. Later, the tapes themselves are partially erased, yet the memory of these phenomena remains within the Whisper network. This scenario, while fictionalized, aligns with recurring patterns in retired personnel testimony, suggesting that the lost tapes served as a repository for extraordinary experiences now preserved primarily in human recollection. There is also a technical dimension to consider. Early recording technology was sensitive to electromagnetic interference, cosmic rays, and equipment limitations, factors that could degrade or partially erase recordings. Some anomalies captured on tape may have been inadvertently affected by these conditions, resulting in incomplete or distorted audio and video. Yet these technical limitations do not diminish the significance of the tapes. In some cases, the distortions themselves are part of the mystery. Engineers and archivists have noted that certain erased segments coincide with times when astronauts reported unusual visual or auditory phenomena, implying that technical and environmental factors intersected with the observation of extraordinary events. Patterns in the lost tapes reveal additional layers of intrigue. Analysis of mission logs, combined with informal accounts, suggests that certain types of anomalies correspond with missing recordings. Lunar missions, deep space orbits, and shuttle missions experiencing unusual environmental conditions all show disproportionately higher rates of erased or restricted segments. In contrast, routine operations, docking procedures, scheduled communications, and standard engineering checks are well documented. This pattern implies selective preservation, whether intentional or unintentional, where the lost tapes primarily contain fragments that document experiences outside the norm, bridging the gap between routine mission data and the unknown. The lost tapes may also serve as evidence of phenomena subtly corroborated across multiple missions. Astronauts, engineers, and mission control staff report experiences that, while isolated in official documentation, share similarities: fleeting lights, faint audio hums, sensor fluctuations, and moments of unexpected silence. The recurrence of these observations across decades and missions suggests that the lost tapes may have captured instances of real phenomena, providing continuity between individual accounts and forming a cumulative record of anomalous events. Even in their absence, the memory of these tapes within the Whisper network preserves the essence of what was observed, creating a bridge between lost physical media and enduring human experience. Moreover, the lost tapes may hold evidence of phenomena that challenge the limits of current scientific understanding. Researchers and ufologists who've examined fragments or secondary copies describe faint signals inconsistent with known orbital mechanics, brief visual anomalies captured on film, and audio segments that suggest structured patterns beyond human origin. While the content is subtle and often incomplete, it hints at a layer of reality intersecting with human observation, yet eluding formal acknowledgement. These fragments, when combined with first-hand whispers and private testimony, suggest that the lost tapes are not merely missing recordings, but potential evidence of encounters with phenomena outside conventional explanation. The significance of the lost tapes extends beyond technical analysis to the psychological and social dimensions of space exploration. Astronauts encountering the unknown often experience profound shifts in perception, awe, and existential reflection. Engineers and mission control personnel exposed to subtle anomalies or partial recordings develop nuanced understanding and quiet corroboration of these events. The missing tapes, therefore, are not just physical artifacts. They are nodes in a network of human knowledge and experience, preserved in whispers, recollections, and private documentation. They embody the interplay between observation, memory, and the unknown, forming a layered record that transcends conventional archives. Finally, contemplating the lost tapes invites reflection on humanity's ongoing relationship with the cosmos. These missing recordings, whether erased for technical reasons, withheld for discretion, or degraded by environmental factors, challenge us to consider what it means to document and understand the unknown. Each gap in the record is a silent prompt, a reminder that exploration is not only about what is captured, but what is experienced, remembered, and quietly acknowledged. The Whisper network, reinforced by the memory of lost tapes, ensures that extraordinary experiences are preserved in human consciousness, awaiting the day when they may be fully understood, corroborated, or revealed. As we conclude this chapter, imagine standing in the quiet archives, the faint echo of spinning reels and distant whispers filling the room. The lost tapes are gone from sight, yet their presence lingers in memory, testimony, and subtle corroboration. They are evidence of the unknown, fragments of human experience quietly preserved, connecting astronauts, engineers, and mission control staff across decades. These tapes remind us that the universe is far richer, stranger, and more mysterious than the public record reveals, and that even in their absence they continue to speak through the Whisper network, inviting us to listen, reflect, and explore the hidden dimensions of space and human perception.